Ilias the Conqueror. I'm double C, no Chanelli, but really I'm triple C'd up. What's going on, you guys? Um, I got about an hour before I gotta get to work, and I finally whipped out my microphone. I always forget to use my microphone whenever I live stream, but I'm going to try my hardest to start remembering to use this. Anywho, um, today I'll be talking about the Trinity, but this is an open stream. You guys can ask me anything, so all religious questions, um, feel free. And also, yeah, okay, I'm gonna open it up. So, you guys, whatever you want to ask, uh, leave down in the chat, and I'll try and get to your question. If it's stupid, I may or may not respond to it. So, anyways, let me get some coffee. Yo, good thing about collared shirts is that you can just clip it here, but it's not really aiming at my mouth. All right, so yeah, I guess that's all right. Y'all can probably still hear me too. The Trinity, one of my absolutely favorite topics to research and to talk about. So, the Trinity is the Christian belief that um, there is one God, but this God exists as three persons. So, you know how people say, like the Trinity doesn't make sense, it's too hard to understand, it's confusing. You know, that is true. And that is because we're talking about the being and person of God. And if God is God, right, we know he possesses certain what do you call it, properties or qualities, right, which is like omnipotence, omnipresent, omniscient, right? Just in simple words, it means he's everywhere, he can see everywhere, he knows everything, omnipotence, he's all powerful, right? And he's infinite, right? That's what makes him God, right? That's what makes God. I mean, there's many reasons that separate God from us, creation, but that's one of them. We are finite, and He is infinite. So there will probably never be a day where we can fully understand or comprehend God. If you say that you can fully understand God, well, then you're just lying, or really, that's no God to be worshipped if you can fully understand and comprehend Him. Because God is just so far beyond us. You and anyone else will never fully be able to understand what the Trinity exactly is, unless, you know, you die, go to heaven, and then you can see the Holy Trinity for yourself. But I guess a good analogy would be, you see people who've been married for like 30, 40, 50, 60 years together. And you ask them, do you fully know this person? Answer is no. So people that have been together for, dozens and dozens of decades, not dozens of decades, but for a really long time, even they don't even fully understand another person 100%. So if we can't understand humans 100%, what makes you think that we can fully understand God and who God is? So that's a key thought to keep in your mind when understanding the Trinity, is that it's just so far beyond what we could ever imagine or perceive. Now, Because you won't be able to fully understand it, does that mean that you can't understand anything about it? No. In the same way, if you're with someone in a relationship, you know a lot of information. You know a lot of things about this person because you're spending a lot of time with them. But at the same time, you don't know everything about them. Same situation here with the Trinity. We know quite a few things about God and the Trinity. But do we know everything? No. So, with that being said, the Trinity is the Christian doctrine, belief that God exists as one being and three persons. Now, we should break down what being and persons are. This comes from philosophy. I think, what's his name? Aristotle. Yeah, who came up with these categories of being. But in simple terms, being is what you are, and person is who you are. So there's several religions that believe that God is one, and you know, honestly, that makes the most sense, right? There only has to be one God. There can't be two infinites. So the Trinity states that there is one being, God, but who this God is three persons. Now, when we say persons, we're not talking about human persons, right? We're talking about personhood. And really, when you think deep about this, humans aren't the only persons, okay? Because again, person just refers to personhood. Person is anyone who can think, who has emotions, and who is personal. God is personal. He has emotions, he has a will. Humans are personal. Angels, demons are personal, right? So there's other beings that possess personhood other than humans. So when we say God is a person, we're not saying that he's a human person per se. That was a lot of alliteration right there. What am I doing? I'm trying to make a coffee and it's taking me like 20 minutes to make this coffee. So, three persons um, possess the being of God Father, Son, Holy Spirit. We get all this information from the Bible. We read the Bible, it says the Father is God, the Son, Jesus, is God, Holy Spirit is God. What do we do with this information? Bible also says that there's only one God. Well, here it just said that Father's God, Son's God, Holy Spirit's God. Therefore, that's where we have the Trinity. Because we can't believe in three gods, so that must mean that these three are persons. Where's the milk? Bring in the milk. Uh, a lot of ways that so okay, before we get into that, just know that there's not going to be any example on earth or in this universe that we can show to fully describe the Trinity. But there are a lot of helpful analogies that can kind of get you thinking about um, the Trinity. Blackie. Nice name. What's up, Blackie? So, a way that it's often described to children to, kind of get them start thinking about the Trinity is think of, water, ice, and steam, right? So you have H2O, and it can change from different what do you call it forms, right? So you have H2O, it's steam. Then it turns into water, and then when it gets cold, it turns into ice, but it's still H2O. Right? These are like kid analogies, right? And these by no means is what the Trinity is. This would actually be it's called modalism, right? Which is a heresy. Right? We don't believe that God switches modes. Right? We believe that all three persons of the Trinity are fully God, and they don't like switch positions. Whenever one of them wants to take a light, like what was that movie Split? What did he have? He had personality, yeah, borderline personality disorder, or no, multiple personality disorder. Yeah, so it's not like you know. There's a bunch of people inside of you, and they're all fighting to get the light, and whoever wins is the person right now. Yeah, it's not like that, but that's kind of a way that you can think about it. Another example, they like to give children is an apple. Now, again, like I said, by no means are these examples like fully explaining the Trinity, but they're cool ideas to think about to start to get your mind thinking, oh, how can three be one? Because that's a common objection that people make is you guys got three gods. Like how can three one plus one does not equal one? It equals three. Coffee's so loud. Yo, where are all my coffee cups? Wow, my coffee cup's sitting right here in front of me. So yeah, these are all like examples that you give to children to kind of help them understand. But as you get older and you mature, then this stuff should be broken down to you in a lot more deeper ways. How can three be one? Well, when you look at anything here on earth, and this is just a personal opinion, I think that God, being a Trinity, has put his blueprint in everything here on earth. Nothing really is one, right? So here, I'll give you guys an example. When you look at this cup, right, you say this is one cup, but it's got a flat part, right, the foundation. Then you have the actual cup part, which holds liquid, and then you have a nice little handle, which you can hold it. So, one, two, three components go into making one cup. Oh, my milk is finished. When you look at a table is made out of the flat tabletop out of components that go into making one object. For example, this is one pan. Jania, hey, what's up? Long time no see. This is one pan, right? But when you look at it, you have um, the handle, you have the actual pan part that you cook stuff, and then you have the screw that holds them together right there. So you see, three equals one. Now, I know that this analogy doesn't fully work for God because then that would mean that the persons, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, are just parts that make up God. And that's partialism, another heresy condemned by the church. But a lot of people, uh, because they don't really know that much about their faith and dive that deep into their studies, they kind of just, run with these ideas because, well, they sound good on the surface. But no, again, this is not what the Trinity is. Father, Son, Holy Spirit are not parts of God. Mm, okay, you guys, my coffee is finished. I probably should have made my coffee first so that I'm less distracted and could focus on speaking more. All right, finished. My coffee is fertig. So yesterday I drew a diagram because Let's put my phone there. My whiteboard is somewhere around here, but I was drawing a diagram for someone I was explaining the Trinity to. And basically what I did was I drew a circle like this, and I cut the circle up into three pieces because this is one of the common ways I think that people think the Trinity is. And so slice the circle up like a pie into three slices. So you have one slice Father, second slice Son, Jesus, third slice Holy Spirit. Right? This is a way that a lot of people like to think of the Trinity, is that a third is the Father, a third is the Son, a third is the Holy Spirit. Again, this is partialism. It's a heresy. This is not what the Trinity is. But if it was, right, we can see how this could be problematic because it shows you that the different slices, right, three slices of this pie means that the Father is only 33% God, the same with the Son and the Holy Spirit. That wouldn't work. But nonetheless, a lot of people hold to this belief because, well, surface level, it sounds great and it's really easy to understand. It's very difficult for people to wrap their heads around the Trinity because it's like if I asked you, what does an alien from Neptune look like? You have no concept of what someone from Neptune would look like. Um, and you've never been to Neptune. So it's really hard for you to imagine something you've never seen or experienced. Same with God, Him being, three persons, one being. There's no such being that exists here on earth. So, how are you going to be able to conceptualize this? You're not. That's why it's very difficult to visualize. But nonetheless, God is a being that exists outside of the universe, outside of space and time. You've never been there. That's why it's hard for you to imagine such a thing. I shouldn't call God a thing, such a being. Yeah, we'll use being. What else can we say? Really wanted to get into the nature of God, but I think we'll save that for another live stream. I can break out my whiteboard for that. And again, a lot of this stuff is not the easiest stuff to comprehend and like really understand because we're diving into theology, philosophy, metaphysics, which are very, high level subjects, which, a lot of people aren't interested in, and a lot of people just don't have the capability of really grasping. Even for myself, when I started getting into philosophy and metaphysics, which I'm still a beginner. Like I'm at the very beginning stages, right? By no means like am I a scholar or anything, but as I started getting introduced to these new subjects, especially like metaphysics, I'm listening to like these professionals and professors speak, and I'm like, I know how to speak English, right? I I know what English sounds like, but whatever they're saying, that's a different language. Even though they're speaking English, it's really hard to understand. And it took me, several times listening to videos and courses over and over to fully grasp what was being said. But with a little bit of practice and endurance, you can understand these things, right? Just think about Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein used to be a dummy, and now today he's regarded as one of the greatest minds that ever lived, if not the smartest man to ever exist. And that's also why I don't really have any sympathy. I said sympathy, sympathy towards stupidity or stupid people. We live in probably the best generation, right? This is the easiest time period in history to make money and to uh, be as smart as you can be because we literally have supercomputers in our hands all day. And what do we do with these phones? We just ended. Wow, what is going on with my tongue? Endlessly scrolling on social media instead of actually putting these supercomputers to work. And it's a shame. It's a sad thing. But people are dumb, and we, as a human race, we're just gonna continue to get dumber and dumber. Even myself included. I'm pretty dumb. I've got like a ton of books over here on my library. It's a small library. Um, and yeah, I still haven't even read through like a half of them. Let me fix my shirt. So, recently I started getting back into my books. What's up? Right now I'm reading through the Psalms. Um, and this is quite a long book. I think there's like 140, 150 chapters to Psalms, but some of them are relatively short. Like you can read them in like a minute. So that's a good thing about Psalms. But as I'm reading them, I'm like, yo, these are like really depressing. And I thought that Ecclesiastes was supposed to be the depressing book, but it's not easy to really sit down and read and like grasp all the information that you're trying to take in, but still try to muscle through these books. But yeah, that's what I'm reading right now is the Psalms. We have the biography of the prophet that I have to read. I'm on volume 2 right now, still at the beginning of the book, so we've got quite a ways until we finish that book. Also, we got the entire collection of Sahih Bukhari. Okay, not the entire collection, but the collection without any repeats that we had to read through. The Lines of the Traveler. Just briefly skimmed through that book. And also, my neighbor just gave me a book. It's all on addiction and like the 12-step program. I don't think it's specifically a 12-step program, but it's about overcoming addiction. And I have yet to even open that book. So, got a lot of reading to do. In addition to that, I think I'm going to buy a book on metaphysics so I can have a deeper understanding of that because that for me personally is probably like the most interesting subject right now. So, yeah, I'm definitely going to cop a book on that. And I got to start reading some of the saints. So, one book that was recommended to me a couple years ago by one of my mentors was um, A Dialogue with Trifo. I think that's by Justin the Martyr. So I gotta get read up on that. Plus, just all of the fathers. super important stuff. And I really want to read Sumo Theologica. I think that's what it's called, by Thomas Aquinas. But I started. I tried to. I attempted it. Like I said, guys, I'm not a genius. I'm not that smart. But I opened this book up. I probably got like half a page, and then I just stopped. I'm like, I don't know what he's saying. Again, the intelligence level you have to like really grasp what is on these pages is so high. And also, there's a way that you're supposed to read this book that I was unfamiliar with at the time. So I got to go back and do some research on that. But it's really not an easy book to read. You can't just pick it up and just start going. Some very high level stuff. But you guys, four people in the chat, what's up? Any questions? Any comments? Say something. Otherwise, I'm just going to smoke my vape and blow it in your face. My wife bought some new coffee beans yesterday, or the day before yesterday, because these coffee beans, wow, I sound like a stuck up rich person when I'm talking about coffee beans. But these coffee beans, man, they're not that great. I mean, they get the job done. I definitely feel awake right now, but it's just too strong, and they don't really have a great taste too. We usually get the Movenpick coffee beans. They come in this giant bag, and they're kind of pricey to be honest, but they taste amazing. For all you coffee drinkers out of, I don't know what's going on with my mouth and my brain this morning, but for some reason I can't get them connected. Maybe it's because I'm sticking this mic right in my face. Maybe if I didn't have to hold it, it would be easier. Well, one thing I noticed recently was just how blessed I am. And this realization came to me while I was making coffee because like we have a little holder for our beans on top of our cappuccino maker, and you can see when the beans are starting to get low. And I'm like, "Oh man, we're almost out of coffee beans." And then the thought occurred to me that there's a lot of people in this world who don't have a coffee machine, who can't afford to spend money on coffee beans. But yet this is like a necessity for me. It made me think like it was this picture. I'm sure a lot of you have seen it, but it says if you have, a couple clothes, like 5 outfits in your closet, if you have running water, hot water, food in your refrigerator, you're richer than like 95 or like 96% of people on this earth. And when you really think about that, right? You have to think like you live a luxurious life. For anyone watching this live right now, you are rich. Okay, you may not have like all the money you desire, but you have to look at all of the other assets in your life. You have access to hot showers, to clean water, clothes, transportation, car. You can just get up and drive to the grocery store and get food. Right? You don't have to walk 10 miles a day to go fetch water from another village or from a well somewhere. And you should be really thankful that you have life so easy. No, life may not be perfect. Everyone has problems, but it's these little things that matter the most. There's some people on this planet that don't eat for days. All they get is like, a piece of bread and some water. And you have the option to drink, juices and smoothies and sodas and cocktails. Like that's a very luxurious life that majority of us are living. And we should be extremely grateful to be in these positions. Like I was saying, I have a $400, it's over $400, uh, cappuccino maker. I spend money every month on coffee beans. I have multiple rooms in my house that I don't have to share with like, 10, 15 people. There's a refugee, there's various refugee camps here in my city to house like people that come from Africa and like the Middle East. And essentially, they're all living in trailers, but they are they're about like 4 to 6 families living all in one trailer. So just imagine like 4 to 6 people all sharing one room, and then another 10 to 15 people all sharing one bathroom. Think of how insane that is. And then think about your situation. Like I said, your situation may not be perfect either, but I'm sure you're not, trying to scrape together 10 cents to go grab some bread or eat pog pog out of the trash. That's another thing that completely changed my perspective on living recently. About 2, maybe 3 years ago, watched the documentary on Pog Pog. If you guys have time, go check it out on YouTube. Um, I think this is in the Philippines. It's probably in a lot of, like Southeast Asian countries. But these people are so poor, right? They're working all day, like 10 to 12 hours for cents, right? They may make like $1 a day, but if you think about minimum wage in a first world country compared to what these people in these third world countries are doing for money and how long they're working, the difference is insane. But these people, they'll go to restaurants or, just dumps and trash, dig through this trash to try and find scraps of food and like meat that's already been eaten. They'll they'll take like all of the food that they can find, and usually it's just like bones, like half chewed like pieces of chicken. They'll put all of this stuff in a trash bag, another bag, separate it, and then um, they'll wash it, a few times in water, recook it, and then resell it. And that's how they eat. That's how they make their money is selling. Um, how do I say this? They're selling food that has already been eaten. Anthony's videos. I have not been to sleep in 34 hours. My guy, Anthony, you need to get some rest. Sleep is very important, or you need to get off the drugs. It's not good to do drugs, you guys, especially like amphetamines. They will like completely destroy your brain, and you could possibly die if you don't get proper sleep. Your body will just shut down. But yeah, things like meth and um, what's those? Oh, Adderall. Any type of uppers. Yeah, all of that stuff is garbage, bro. I think sleep is just as important as eating. So yeah, 34 hours, that is not kosher. You should definitely go lay down. There's so many like gurus and like self-help coaches, and the message that a lot of them preach is, work, 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 no days off. There's no such thing as burnout. Yeah, that's the biggest lie ever. Like there has to be some sort of balance between your work and your health life. Like you shouldn't just always be on go. You got to be taking care of your body and especially your mind. And you're not really running at anywhere near 100% efficiency if you're sleep deprived. Right? You're not thinking clearly, and if you continue to operate like this, you could very easily start to hallucinate, which is not fun. I mean, some people might think, "Oh, so trippy," but yeah, hallucinating is not cool. Thank you, Jason. My microphone just died. Appreciate that, man. I just realized that I need to charge my microphone. But yeah, in my book, I go into detail about how important it is to go get a massage, to take care of your feet, your hands. A lot of people have nasty fingers. Bro, can you give me your creme? CREM. Can you give me your cream? Cream? Or are you trying to say cream? Danny. Um, what are you talking about? I don't know what you're trying to say, bro. But yeah, within this chapter about taking care of yourself, I go into how important it is to stay hydrated, make sure you're not dehydrated, take care of your skin, your feet, just your overall bodily health, especially like your back. If your back goes, you're cooked. And also your face, and most importantly, your teeth. Right now, I'm doing coconut oil pulling. It's supposed to help get all that gunk out of your mouth and make your teeth whiter. But you'd be surprised how many people just really have a yuck mouth. A lot of people have like some crazy teeth, like teeth falling out, just like brown and black stained teeth. And cancer, you guys. Cancer is not fun. But yeah, things like oral cancer exist. What else? Okay, so enough about my book. Enough about health. Excuse me, guys. All right, we've been going for about 45 minutes. All right, you guys, I think we're gonna let y'all go. I got about an hour before I have to get to work, and I'm just gonna chill, man. I'm just gonna chill and do nothing. But I appreciate you guys for coming and hanging out with me for a little bit. And I'll see you guys later when I go on break at work. Ciao, ciao. I work at McDonald's, bro. Come on, man. Everyone knows I work at McDonald's. You guys see the colors. Do I have a McDonald's symbol on my shirt? Oh, yeah, there we go. You guys see it. Nah, it's all good, bro. You guys, you don't have to apologize. But it's common knowledge that I work at McDonald's. But not that much longer, because I'm going to break free from the Matrix. And I'm gonna buy a private jet and just travel the world. And hopefully I'll be in a city close to you, so we can come hang out. See you guys later. Appreciate that, Danny.